On today's video, we're going to show you a mini food prep and how you can use the time you're already planning to be in the kitchen to help your future self out. So we've got some soup made with veggies that needed to be used. We got some homemade fruit cups. We've got hard-boiled eggs for Joe ready for 3 mornings this week. And then we've got some Southwest sweet potatoes made with sweet potatoes I just baked, but with some leftover black beans and corn. So we'll see you in a second. Hi, welcome back to One Dish, Two Ways. I'm Sheila and Joe is behind the camera. If you have never been to our channels before, I am whole food plant-based as much as possible because I have cured my migraines with this diet. And then Joe eats standard American diet a little on the keto side. So we show people how we make these two work together in our household. So today's video is going to be a little different because I know it's the start of 2025 and many people want to eat out less, make their own food, and maybe the thought of all the food prep is very overwhelming. We've done a different video, but I thought this one could be fruitful today because you don't have to start with a 2-hour food prep. You can just start on little things. So I just want to show you, we are in the middle of filming one video, and while things are cooking, I want to show you what I'm able to get accomplished just to give you a little inspiration on maybe how you can use these techniques for yourself. So the first one is, I already have the oven on because I'm making a cauliflower roast in there. So why not put something else in the oven? And this week I've chosen sweet potatoes. And the reason, I'm always thinking about what I have in the cupboard, what I have in the freezer, and what I have in the fridge. And this has not been this. I am 50 years old. I've been reading cookbooks for years. We've been married for what, 28 years now? So this has been over time. I have come up with these things. So I've got some black beans and corn with some taco seasoning that I used 2 nights ago for a taco salad. But I thought, ooh, I will make these sweet potatoes and then put that stuff on top of it to make like a Southwest sweet potato. So I want to go ahead and get these sweet potatoes cooked. So since the oven is on for the cauliflower roast, why not throw these in? They're going to take about the same amount of time. I just threw the cauliflower roast. So all I did was clean the sweet potatoes. I cut the ends off and I just cut them in half. I've got them on a silicone mat, no oil needed. And I don't need any seasoning because the filling is going to be my seasoning. So I'm going to show you so you can see that there's actually a roast in here. And I'm just going to throw this on the bottom shelf. And that's how I'm going to use the oven. If I'm already got it on, why not? Over here, because I'm in the kitchen, I've got some eggs going. Joe likes boiled eggs for a couple mornings a week. So I've got those going. Here's the tip though. If you start getting too much stuff going, set a timer so you don't, I'm always setting timers on my phone, whatever you need to do. So these have 3 minutes left on them and they'll be good to go. And they could be cooling while I'm doing other things. And then my next tip is maybe you've got some veg that is looking a little old, but it's still good enough to use. So why not make a big pot of soup? And this is the time of the year for soup. So I got last week the newest edition of the Forks Over Knives magazine, and it's all about soups and stews. And one of the recipes I'm taking inspiration from is called multi-cooker mushroom and barley stew. I love barley. I have a hard time finding the whole barley, so Joe orders it for me on Amazon. But any recipe that uses it, I love to use it. I think it's a creamy grain to me. So I thought, why not use it? So I've got some veggies. I've got some mushrooms, onions. These were some lentil balls I made a few days ago, and there's just 2 of them, so I cut them up. I've got some beans because I cook my beans in batches, and then I freeze them. So this is a batch I made on 9/28, and I've got some other stuff. So this is 6 cups of water in here, and I'm going to make it into veggie broth by using this savory broth mix. I also make homemade, but this is I don't have any homemade done right now. So I'm just going to turn this into veggie broth. It will do its thing while it's cooking. And I'm just going to add a collection of veggies. So I've got some onion, I've got those lentil balls, and I've got the mushrooms. Okay. And I've got a little bit of celery that needs to be used. I love celery in soup. I've got some carrots that need to be used. So they're going to go in. I've got the 1 cup of the dry whole barley. Now, it also calls for potatoes, and you might think, oh my gosh, Sheila, that's 2 starches in a dish. But this soup, I like soups and combo dishes for lunch because then it's one thing I have to eat. I'm not usually a fan of salads for lunch because they just take too long to eat. And when I'm at work, I don't get that much of it. I'd rather have my salad at dinner time and have something more hearty that gets me through the afternoon with just, a snack in the afternoon. So I'm doing barley, and then I've got a few hash brown potatoes that are no oil, and I'm going to add those. And then I had made a small batch of potato soup, and I thought, well, why not add this into this? This is going to be, so then I'm just upsizing or upcycling, whatever you want to call it, and adding that to it. Of course, we've got to have, look at these big beans. These big limas, oh my goodness. I love big limas. So I've got these. Now I tend to cook my potatoes more on the very tender side. So this is going to make an awesome soup. And then there's seasoning in that potato soup that I made, but I'm going to add some of my no salt all purpose seasoning. If Joe can, he can link you the video about where I made the seasonings. And I'm just going to do a couple shakes equal to about a couple tablespoons. So it's got salt, pepper, paprika, no, not salt, pepper, paprika, garlic, onion powder. And then we're just going to stir this up. And this is just going to take about 20, let's see, what does it suggest here? It suggests 15 minutes here. So I am probably going to do 15, and then I will let it natural release. What that means, if you don't use your pressure cooker, is that you let the steam come out of it, which can take anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes depending on your machine, and that will naturally release it. Usually there's some sort of red pin that will drop, and then it means it's safe for you to open it. If you need to do a fast one, then as soon as the timer's up, you hit it, and then the air will evaporate right there for you. So let's just take this big pot over here and get it started. So this is the Pampered Chef version, but all electric. And I suggest you always keep your book around. But for soup, I'm just going to go all the way to the soup one. It says 30 minutes, but I'm going to hit it down to, what did I say, 20? Oh. Okay, and now it's running. So I've got that going. Joe just turned the eggs off. And then here's something else I did before we came on camera, is I made us little fruit cups. So I got some berries this weekend at the store. So there's strawberries in there, blueberries, and then I cut some red grapes up. And so these are probably about a cup, maybe a little bit more of fruit. And that's a fruit cup for us. Of course, you have normal fruit that, well, not normal, what do I say? Fruit that comes in a package itself. So we've already got, behind Joe is oranges and bananas and apples. But I like these fruit cups too that we can make, because we tend to eat the berries early in the week because they don't last as long as your apples and your oranges do. So I've got those that I've made. So I'm taking good use of the time that I'm already in the kitchen. So that's all I'm suggesting you do. Like I said, you don't have to do everything. And yesterday when I brought home all the food, I did put things into jars. So let me show you that real quick. So these are just 3 of them. I won't get them all out, but you do what's best for your family. So I've got some celery or some, what do you call that? Broccoli, carrot sticks, and some peppers. I can always cut them smaller if I need to, but New Year's Eve is coming up and we plan to go to a little event. So these are the perfect size so that you can dip. That's what I like about these. I can use it for my nightly salad. I can use it in a stir fry, whatever I want to do. The broccoli is ready to go based on for any stir fry or my salads. And then the carrot sticks. And then later in the week, if for our salads, I will grate some more since I just used a bunch for the soup. But that was an older batch, and that's why I did that. So keeping it, and then because it's all see-through, then whoever gets in the fridge, Joe or I, can find it. I also keep onions already ready to go also in the fridge. So just try to think of something that could make your life, that your future self will thank yourself for. Whether that is getting some breakfast burritos ready, whether that's getting some oatmeal packs ready, pre-cooking. You know, if you're going to cook on the weekend on the grill, a lot of times Joe will just go ahead and cook 2 or 3 meats for himself. That way he's set for later in the week. So when we come back, I will show you what the soup looks like, how I finish the sweet potatoes, and then how we package up Joe's eggs. But just don't be afraid of a little food prep, especially if that's a goal that you're trying to achieve. It really has changed for Joe and I. And each time we learn what we like, hummus, if I do that every couple weeks, that's good for me. So just think about things that could help your future self, and you'll be very thankful when you have those things ready to go. So we'll see you in a bit. Welcome back to the second part of our food prep video. So if you've been following us, you know we foster dogs. And right now we have Balto. He's a Siberian Husky. And all of a sudden we are in zoomy mode. So you might hear him in the background. So this finishes up the little bit of food prep that I just wanted to get done while I was working on other things. And that's what I encourage you to do to start. So I'd love to know in the comments, what's something that you want to start doing with food prep? Maybe it's just making oatmeal cups, even if they're dry oatmeal cups. So in the morning, you just dump it, put your water in it, and make sure whatever's going to make your future self say, whoa, this saved me some time. So I showed you the fruit cups already. So now we've got the hard-boiled eggs. So we tried putting them all in one container, but even just putting 2 in a container was too much in the morning. So we now put them in individual containers just to make it easy. So these are still not perfectly cooled. So I will that's one thing when you're food prepping, make sure your food is at room temperature before you put it in the fridge. Because if you put a bunch of hot food in the fridge, you're going to raise that temperature in your fridge, and you don't want that. You don't want to grow any bacteria. So next was the sweet potatoes. So they are done. They took about 40 minutes. Probably you could have done a little bit less, but I like them when they're super like caramelized and gooey. That is my favorite part. Like, who needs something sweet when you have that? So we're going to flip these over. Now, because I cleaned the skins really well, I'm going to be able to eat all of it. And you know, there's a ton of fiber in those skins. Now, as you see, you can see a little bit of moisture on this. This is just a silicone mat. I didn't add any oil or anything, but that's what happens when I just love caramelized sweet potatoes. So I told you that I had a little bit of, this was just 1 can of black beans. Actually, it was frozen, but it equals 1 can. I had some leftover corn, some leftover onions, put it all together, made a taco salad, I think 2 nights ago. And I thought, oh, I want to do something different. So I'm basically going to cut this mixture in half, and it's going to go on top of the sweet potatoes. Now, this came out of the fridge because I'm getting it ready for a future meal so that I don't have to put it together later. So I'm just putting this on here. And then another thing I like to food prep, and I would love to know if anybody would like a video on that, is I like to make salsa. It's actually easier than what you think, and you can do it any time of year. So I did make a batch of salsa. So I'm just going to put some salsa on here. And then these are ready to go because there's taco seasoning in the black beans. And then I've got this salsa. So it's an easy heat and go meal for me. But so many nutrients in there. And that's what I'm most excited about. So these are ready to go. So I'll let these also cool. And then last but not least was this soup that I kind of made out of a bunch of other things. And that is why soup is so great. So I do want to show you, if you've never cooked with barley before, I highly encourage, I know it was my plant-based doctor, shout out to Dr. Kim, that got me and started onto barley, whole barley. And I really had no idea it'd be so creamy. So you can see this soup is creamy. That's from the barley. It's not from anything else. So I'm going to give you a template to make the soup, but obviously you make it with what ingredients you have. Now, I do have some spinach that I need to use for another recipe. If I have any of that left over, I do plan to add this to the soup. But boy, this smells amazing. So I've got onions and carrots and mushrooms in here. Again, an all-in-one meal. So I will be able to switch these up. And if I have anything going on this week, I don't remember the calendar right now, These are simple dinners if I don't have time to make my big salad, which is what I normally have for dinner. So quick and easy ways to do all of this. As you can see, I cannot taste this soup. It is super hot. You gonna try it?
Let's see.
And he's not a fan of mushrooms, but they're big enough you could eat around them.
Need some salt and pepper, but it's actually very good.
And I don't generally cook with salt. I let people add the salt at the table. So don't be afraid of a little food prep. Just do something that will help your future self. And then you can build upon that and then maybe get to a point where you are doing a 60 to 90 minute prep. But you do all the dishes at once. I mean, you still have dishes to eat this with, but you don't have all the other dishes. So please let me know in the comments, are you going to give anything a try? And what do you want to try to help your future self out? Thank you so much for joining us. And I hope you have a wonderful week. And we'll see you next week on One Dish, Two Ways.